Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, a year ago, I forgot to say, please sit down. So this time I have remembered to say, please sit down. So, our first item of business is to elect the town mayor for the coming year. But before that, there's always a preliminary, which is to announce that there's no fire alarm planned for tonight. So if there is a fire alarm goes off, let's take it seriously. Let's leave the building in an orderly fashion and gather in the car park. Hopefully not in a rainstorm. Yes. Before we do elect the mayor, which will be me standing down, I'd just like to say a couple of thank yous. So first of all, I want to say thank you to my fellow councillors. Seriously, thank you so much for having the confidence in me to be your mayor for last year, and just the support as we've gone along through the year. It's really appreciated. Thank you. I think we have different opinions about some things, which is right and proper, but I think because we represent different sections of the community, but I think we are united in the desire for Glastonbury to flourish. Anyway, thank you for your support. I also want to say a really big thank you to my two mace bearers, Terry and Rosie, for just being there whenever we had to process from somewhere to somewhere. I find it's a real support. If you have to get dressed up and sort of walk about, it's a genuine support to know there's a couple of other people kind of by your side. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Especially to Rosie, who's standing down today as mace bearer after a year. Yes, I also want to thank all the staff of the town hall just for helping make everything happen, particularly Scarlett, who specialises in the mayor's events and general civic protocol. She just knows what to do and helps it happen really smoothly. And my mayoress, Sarita, thank you so much for being there. Always full of good advice and just general support. Thank you very much. Anyway, I think that's me. The first item on the agenda is indeed to elect the town mayor for the ensuing year. Do we have any proposals? Councillor Cousins.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to propose Councillor Michael White as mayor for the coming year. It's my great honour to propose Michael. I've known him for over 40 years, and he is truly a remarkable man, not least because he's lived for many years in a remote atoll of Tonganiga, Tonganiga in the Pacific Ocean. The SC is a fellow of the Marine Biological Association, so we are in a splendid company to have him as a fellow. He has studied sea turtles for about 35 years and is a member of the Species Survival Commission. He is also on the advisory board of the Deep Ocean Stewardship Initiative and serves on two of its committees, Marine Pollution and Biodiversity. Michael is actively working on the ubiquitous problem of plastics in the global oceans. As we all know, that's a big thing, and is deeply involved in the promotion of traditional indigenous knowledge and the practices to the world. His recent research includes surveying reefs to assess the extent of coral bleaching and understanding the loss of habitats and species and monitoring tropical seabirds. But closer to home, fellow councillors, Michael is a familiar face in the town and an active member of this council. As chair of the Youth Provision Committee, chair of Finance and General Purposes Committee, and deputy chair of Staffing, he has demonstrated his capacity to be chair of this council. In addition, Michael White is deputy chair of the Glastonbury Town Deal Board, and of course he's been our deputy mayor during this last year. Fellow councillors, I'm sure you will agree I can think of no one more suited or more capable of holding this venerable office of Mayor of Glastonbury in the coming year than our esteemed colleague, Councillor Michael White, and therefore I humbly propose Councillor White as Mayor of Glastonbury for the forthcoming year. Thank you very much, and may Glastonbury flourish.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cuttle?
Yep. Yes, I would like to second Michael to be our deputy, to be our mayor. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong there. No, I think Michael will be a really, really good mayor, and he's an exceptional person, and he's had an exceptional life. Well, I'm just listening from John there. So well done, Michael. You'll do a good job, I'm sure, and go for it. And I'm happy to second you.
Are we happy to move to vote, or are there other counter proposals? Move to vote. All those in favour of Councillor Michael White as our mayor? I think that is unanimous. Very good. Now it says once the mayor is elected, the Civic Party will adjourn for approximately 10 minutes. So that's what we will do.
Okay, so we start to do that.
Find it and then...
Pray outstanding for his worship, the new Mayor of Glastonbury, Councillor Michael White.
Please be seated. Thank you. So, firstly, thank you, councillors, for electing me as your mayor. It really is a great honour. Thank you. Special thanks to Councillor John Cousins. As he said, we've known each other for a long time, probably since the early 1980s. Thanks to Councillor Cottle for your brilliant work behind the scenes that often doesn't get mentioned or appreciated. And in particular, I understand you've been working behind the scenes to get our beautiful new resurfaced Magdalen Street.
All helps.
So thank you for that. Special thanks to Connor at Town Park and his officers and staff.
Yeah.
So although we elected members make the decisions, it's Connor's team and that side of the council organisation that turns them into reality. So very important. Thanks to the mace bearers. So Terry is going to continue and Rosie, she's stepping down, but really pleased that she came here this evening. Thank you. I'll just read this. I, Councillor Michael White, having been elected as the 326th holder of the office of Mayor of Glastonbury, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it, according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected from members of Glastonbury Town Council. So signed by me on this date, the 13th of May. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I asked my friend Shahina Sahara Falcon to be my Lady Mayoress, and I'm delighted to say that she has accepted. So thank you. Thank you. My charity, I was speaking with Chloe from the Mental Health Network, and she said they've been supported by the last several mayors, and she felt it would be good for another organisation to benefit from some funding. So I'm looking at something called Promise Works. It's a Somerset-wide organisation, and it does one-to-one mentoring for youth. So they train mentors, partner them with a young person for up to 2 years. And so I'm hoping to meet a trustee from them next week, and then I'll feed back as I learn more information about it. Chaplaincy, I've asked Anu Forrest, who some of you know. She has accepted and is deeply honoured to be asked. She can't be here tonight, as literally as we speak, she's flying back from Ireland. But I will introduce her to you all at the June Full Council. One thing I would like to ask the Council, during this next year in particular, is to counter disinformation. So wherever we find it, you know, because it's a struggle at times. Thank you. We've also just started or are starting a quarterly newsletter that we will give from the Council to the people of Glastonbury. So if you have news items, stories, projects happening, happened, about to happen, we'll just sort of feed that in through the town clerk. And I think that might sort of help us. Right. So the next item, and a very important one, is to elect our deputy mayor for the year. So do we have any nominations? Yes, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would be proud and happy to nominate Zoe Price. Zoe has been an active member of this council, taking part in many committees, youth provision and the Arts, Culture and Events Committee. She's got a background in social care. She has management experience, good organisational skills and communication skills. She's always bright and breezy, and she's very conscientious with the town council. And I also think there's a kind of synchronicity that we all enjoyed having her mum as mayor, and it'd be lovely to see Zoe follow in her mum's footsteps.
Is there a seconder? Please, Margaret Tatum.
I'm happy to second Zoe because I think not only are you eminently a good and kind person, but you'll be brilliant for Glastonbury. I've served with you on many committees and hope to serve with you in the future.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Or shall we move to vote? Move to vote. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Zoe Price as Deputy Mayor? Thank you. And I believe that's unanimous again. Thank you.
Too late now.
Deputy Mayor of Glastonbury, Councillor Zoe Price.
Please be seated.
So going out.
Just one moment. Okay.
Will you swap with?
So congratulations to our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Zoe Price.
Here, here.
Would you like to say a few words?
I just wanted to say thank you, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Oakden, and fellow councillors. I'll do the very best job that I can. Thank you.
Yay.
Okay. Next item is to appoint the mace bearers for this coming year. Terry is going to stay, and Rosie is stepping down. Yeah, thank you for your. And so we will shortly be advertising for a new mace bearer. We've got 3 people to do an interview panel when the applications go out. So I believe the next item is for us all to go downstairs, the councillors, for a photo on the steps going into the main hall. It says, I'm just reading it.
Well, at least there's no lightning and thunder.
Yeah.
So, Your Worship, it's yourself, the Deputy Mayor, mace bearers, myself, and I think that's it. Unless we do want whole, well, we haven't got the
Last year we had
That'll do.
go down, but we'll take the whole picture first, and
and
then
the
we'll
others.
take the party picture.
Thank you. Okay.
We all go.
Yes, thank you.
Those are beautiful.
Another picture there. Hold the flowers up, please, Deputy Mayor.
They are beautiful.
Right, escape first. Mr. Mayor, could you
No, he's gone.
here? Can I just get you in there? I think the hat adds a certain je ne sais quoi, if you don't mind me saying so.
Want me to put it on? Right. It's very hot.
Oh, they want you to try cook, yeah.
Uniforms are good.
The last one was actually wool.
What do you call those? I can't remember the pronunciation. Try cook something off that.
Pirate's hat.
It's very pirate.
Sorry, you're taking photos.
Beautiful.
It's very Keira Knightley from Pirates of the Caribbean. Right.
Right, so where are we?
Order is restored.
Okay, we have public participation. Is Fiona Helmer here? Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm going to principally, firstly, say thank you for the rain. Thank you for all the crops and all the farmers. I'd rather not use the term.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm addressing you peasants on behalf of my fellow peasants over here, because today I'm asking that this council make a resolution, whatever way that can happen, that the allotments, representing, as I see it, some kind of like the last vestige of common land, be put entirely out of the domain of threat from development, in order that everyone who has a piece of that ground that our grandfathers tilled and poured tons and tons of effort and love and compost, because the clay at the very edge of the path of my plot is concrete. And I have a beautiful, very clay heavy, but very workable, beautiful allotment. And what I notice is that every time that there is a rumour that that is going to be developed, that my animal goes, I can't be bothered to go down there, and the bags and bags of compost and the care and the love that happens between a gardener and a plot of land that they tend. And it's just a very good excuse for being outside. It used to be the mainstay of our peasant food, yeah? That's how a lot of men, some women I'm sure, fed their families. So I want to ask that everyone individually, whatever process that needs to happen, that you personally commit that whilst you're on this council, that no outside force, anybody remember, think global, act local. Where has that gone? It couldn't have become more reversed. I don't want any of the blue street lighting. I could go on for hours. There's a lot of disinformation about all this new technology. So thank you for bringing up the disinformation. And yeah, I want to rest in the safety that you lot will come and stand at the gates with us allotment peasants. If the Bristol or the London lot who think they're in charge of what happens in this town want to bring in their bulldozers and put in another housing development, and what will we get? We'll get some swampland or some, you know, it's going to be the land that can't be built on. And I want to stay where we are. It's a very beautiful allotment. I really give thanks to all the people that have safeguarded in some way this land for our use. And for the wildlife, it's absolutely vital when we've got ID Verde going around the town, razoring everything in sight at the wrong time with no care, absolutely no care. Some care. Sorry, guys. Some of them really do care. But the overall thing is it's a bit of a slaughter out there. And I want to allotment down there. And it's such a beautiful social scene. And also asking for 2 reps, please. 2 women that volunteered 2 years ago. Sarah Hallam, take the weight off her shoulders. Les and her are amazing. Thank you so much. They're absolutely genius. And let's have 2 town representatives. Let's have some more civic involvement in taking the weight, the real weight, off the shoulders of people who are having to manage 5 jobs. I'm sure I've done 3 minutes, but please can we have the 2 reps? There were 2 women, they were mad keen. Someone went, no, we've got to have a man. And then some poor guy, my neighbour, got bullied into it and he didn't want to do it. And then it didn't happen because Sarah doesn't have the time for any of it. So please.
Thank you. Thank you. Leanna, thank you.
Thank you for hearing me. I stand here today asking Glastonbury Town Council to remember where we all come from and that we were all Indigenous once. And this town was founded by nomadic Indigenous beings, finding that spring and returning to that spring every year or turn with the seasons. Our culture started on our feet, not in a house. We lived wild. We knew our plants, we knew our land, we knew our communities. And houses are taking that away from us. For some it suits and for others it doesn't, and that's okay. But let's not keep attacking those that are unhoused and moving them on. The majority, I've worked in homelessness for 28 years. I'm 42, I don't look it, I know. I've worked in homelessness for 28 years with disadvantaged young people. And the root cause of homelessness is trauma. And that trauma is being perpetuated by this town council by moving people on and not giving them a chance. Currently down by the allotments on the Godney Road is a site where people are living. Half of those people were evicted from the zigzag yard with no other alternative given by the local or wider councils. And they're now being asked to be moved on again. One of those people is 75 years old. He's an outstanding mechanic and he'll do anything for anybody. With that, there are younger people who are also mechanics, welders, trauma therapists, yoga teachers. There is a skill set there. And they're begging for somewhere to stop and heal their trauma. Instead of perpetuating the same thing, being moved on month after month, having to figure out where they're going to rest their heads. These people don't have homes they can go to. They don't have mums and dads they can call back on or fall back on. They have nowhere. That's why they're in the field down the road. If they had somewhere else, they wouldn't be there. We have an opportunity in Glastonbury to reverse what the Enclosures Act started. The Enclosures Act started in this country, putting fences up and stopping us from being able to walk the lands that our ancestors walked. We see the genocides that are going on around the world with indigenous peoples being culled day in, day out, in Congo, in Gaza, but we see it here. Not with the bomb, but with the pen. The genocide of the Gypsy, Roma, Traveller and Sinti people started during the World Wars and it's continued with the pen and the upholding of the colonialist values that we uphold in this place currently. I live on that field with all those people. I've been a nature connector most of my life. And I refuse to go and leave those people behind because they won't use their voices unless they're shown how. They're really smart, beautiful, caring, compassionate people. We care for people around this town, disabled people who can't do things for themselves, like fetch their own spring water because the tap water is so disgusting they don't want to drink it. We'll do that for them. We garden their homes. We go around and fix their gardens. We've gone around and fixed their homes. We're not a waste of space. We're active members of this community, and you guys are failing us. We ask you to stand accountable for your actions on your vote the other week. We've got the skills to turn that place into my dream is to turn it into a mycology, conservation and research space. Our soil is degraded in this town. We are losing our roads due to our soil being degraded. And the only way we're going to get the soil back up is with the use of mycology. None of us can live on this planet without the use of mycology. Fungus, for those that don't know what mycology is. We need to rebuild that fungus so we can rebuild the soil, so we can raise our water level and make all of these growing projects a success. And with that, grow ourselves and our community at the same time.
Thanks, Leanna. Thank you. Next one is Cameron Hurd. Thank you, Cameron.
I wouldn't say that I'm a local here. I only came to Glastonbury a handful of times, truly, before moving here. Out of my own situations, I was made homeless, came here with no money, and through the luck of people that I knew here, I was given a caravan with a burner, luckily. And then, in the space of 4 months, I was evicted 3 times from places that I wanted to settle. I'd taken up the slack of about 20 people that you guys should have been helping to help them find safety in their homes off the street, which is, I hear, about to be double yellowed. I also hear that there's money that could be spent to help these people, and it's on the later side of that deadline, which is 2026. What happens to the money? Does it get given back? Yes. No. Every opportunity here is to help. And yes, there might be bad eggs, that might do bad things in the sense of survival, because they're in hard times. And the life they live, pennies go a long way. And through law and legislation, they've been criminalised and made to be viewed as criminals. And you, Glastonbury Council, have the opportunity to not make them criminals, just providing them a postcode through, what's it, 1.8 that's left or something like that. Yeah. Somebody that I know came to Glastonbury at 17 years old, escaping a home that was abusive and traumatic for her. And she ended up on that hill, and she got addicted to all sorts of things. And she was a child, because Glastonbury offered no place, school home that was, yes, supervised by Glastonbury and the police. That's how you have to do things, and they might not like it, but if they want a safe place, that's what's going to have to happen. And if she had that provided by you, then she wouldn't be in this situation now, where she's thinking about coming back to Glastonbury and just starting all over again, with me offering her a postcode and at least a safe place so you can get her driver's license, and then possibly buy a car, and then she's no longer an illegal citizen of our country. That's on you. Spend your money.
Thank you, Cameron. Yeah, please.
Thanks, guys. We on the council do understand the situation we've got in Glastonbury. This council plus councils over the years have been trying to deal with this problem for at least 20 years, probably longer. It's not a new problem. We've had many representations come to the council, and we've tried with the local district council, which no longer exists, the county council and the unitary council to try and solve this problem. It's unfair to say that this council is letting you down, or this council is responsible. We're not. We're doing the best we can, and we haven't got money we can just hand out. I don't know where you get that idea from. We haven't.
Town deal, but it's not. Deal.
The town deal is completely separate. It's not the council.
Also, this council did make remarks in the social media saying that we're not welcome here. How can...
Well, not this council as a collective. Didn't make any...
I appreciate that, but they were this council under the name of Glastonbury Council.
Please...
Okay. We don't actually generally debate public participation. I just thought I felt I had to stand up just to make a few things clear, if that's all right.
Yeah.
But it is on our agenda many times through the year. We take representation to the unitary council. We go to meet other organisations, and we really, really want to sort this problem out. And don't think we're not doing anything, and don't think it's our fault either.
Okay.
I appreciate what you just said there, right there, but can I just get a response from my comment as to why that was said? This has caused outrage on social media.
No,
Couldn't answer the question. I don't
we don't engage in dialogue with public participation. Councillor McDougall.
I just wanted to be assured that we have contact details for the people who've spoken so that we can
Respond.
Yeah.
Councillor Cousins.
I'd like to ask why you view us as a problem.
Councillor Cousins.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wonder. I mean, I haven't seen any comments that are being referred to, and I'm unsure who has made them on behalf of this council. But if we could be party to that information, that would be very useful for us. And it sounds like it's a standards issue, Your Worship.
Yes. Thank you. Alderman Carey.
First, I congratulate you, Michael and Zoe, on your appointments this
evening.
Thank you. I think it's well deserved, and I hope you have a happy and active years
Thank you.
together, and then perhaps next year, Zoe. Who knows? I've served on the council quite a long time. I'm aware of the problems that have been mentioned here. We have tried to deal with them over the years, and this council has limited resources that it can use, but we have been with the district council and the unitary authority trying to solve some of the problems that have been talked about here. I'm aware of those problems. Tonight I wanted to say something that is slightly different but has been mentioned, and it's about the humanitarian feelings in this town. And one thing that has worried me, and which I know is not a Glastonbury problem in particular, is the disaster taking place in Gaza. We have a group of people in the town that have regularly protested, rightly, for ceasefire, but we have a situation now where the Israeli state, by stopping aid, food, everything else, has made the population of Gaza get to its knees. And that's, I think, clear from all the other refugee agencies that have worked there and now are in real difficulty. And I felt really affected by it. And the question is, what can we do about it? And the least I thought we could do about it was to write to our Prime Minister and ask him and the government to stop supplying any military aid that they are to Gaza, and to take immediate action to try and get supplies in. The supplies are there, but the Israeli nation is now using the people of Gaza in this war, moving them from place to place. 2 million people being moved around because the Israeli army says, we're going to bomb this place tomorrow, so you better move out. When you think about 2 million people that have had nowhere secure to sleep, much like the problem in a way here, where people haven't got secure homes, then I think that we should make some attempt. What can we do? At the least we could do is write to the Prime Minister on behalf of the Council. And I hope that somebody on the Council would maybe propose in the future, if not now, because it's critical now, that we do that and just show that the people of Glastonbury, who have a real humanitarian streak, and anybody alive who looks at the situation there must think this should stop. I would ask that you would take some action, at least on behalf of the people of Glastonbury.
Thank you, Alderman. Carol. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cousins.
Well, just a point of order, Your Worship. Maybe aldermen do not know this, but when we took the step of reinstating the status of alderman when councillors were, John Brunson was first made one, they do have the capacity as an alderman to actually put forward a motion on this council if they so wish.
On that basis, I wasn't aware of this fact, but I would put forward a motion that this council write to the Prime Minister on behalf of the people of Glastonbury, ask for action to be taken on two fronts: stop supplying any military aid, and to try and ensure through every other nation, and heaven knows there are plenty of other criticisms, people who want to take action. In fact, there was a bombed out vote that was trying to take aid to Gaza, that we should write and ask for the government to do everything they can to take action to alleviate the situation at present.
Thank you. Councillor Don Francesco.
Sorry, may I just, one, I'd like to second that, if that is appropriate for this point, Your Worship. But also, I'd just like to say that it was around about after the first bombings that this council did actually put together a letter. I don't know if we could revisit that letter, maybe update it. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Town Clerk, have you had advice?
Thank you, Worship. Alderman Keary, could I ask that you work on a form of words, and if Councillor Don Francesco is happy to second it, that you submit it in advance of the next meeting. We can't consider a motion that's brought during public participation, but if you'd like to email me with a form of words that Councillor Don Francesco would like to second, it can come to the June meeting. We can't make a decision during public participation.
I'm sorry about that, because I wait till the next meeting, it will be another month on of the horrific situation that is there. I think it's something we need to action, however it's done.
Councillor Cousins.
Point of order again, Your Worship. Perhaps when we move forward within this meeting, perhaps we could accept the proposal and the seconding. I don't know if it's possible to suspend any standing order that would prevent that. I would look to the clerk for that.
Right. I have one more public participation. Carol.
Thank you. I must say that nobody does pomp and ceremony like the Brits. That was quite extraordinary. Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that you must be very careful come Christmas wearing red robes. There could be a mistaken identity. I also want to say thank you to Okabandu because he supported my Piece of Park project, which was a display at St John's Church. And there were various poems and slogans about the futility of war and looking at it from a different perspective. I think maybe we need to revisit the Glastonbury Piece of Park project. So I should be back on the case. My purpose for speaking this evening is to update you about my social enterprise, which has many projects which will be running underneath it. We urgently need support, funding and potentially premises. And it's come to my awareness that the Beckery may well become available. And I'd like to put that in as a possibility. Now, one of the aspects I've spoken of in the past is what I've called the neighbourhood network, which is people helping people like they used to. And I've connected now with an organisation in Hampshire which has been running since 1975. They've got 118 groups across their county where they provide support to their local people. They will drive people to hospital appointments, wait for them, take them back, especially our elders, and we need to be honouring our elders. And, you know, we had a wonderful unity event recently. Some of our people here were speakers about their memories and sharing and so on, and we need to bring that back in. There's a lot of potential with us being able to use the Beckery. We've also spoken with a hotel chain, and they are getting rid of furniture, which is perfectly good because they're updating. We have the potential to access that pretty much free of charge, which could then be just tidied up. People can have it cheaply for their homes and so on. So there are lots of possibilities that we could make use of that building and some support, because this could well go a lot further afield than Glastonbury. And as I've said to you many times in the past, it's starting in Glastonbury and the smile of Avalon. We need to lift some vibrations, bring some more fun and enjoyment into things. It doesn't all have to be deadpan and serious, but we do have some serious issues to tackle. So I am going to be putting a proposal together, and other things that we can potentially do are, you know, if we are able to access the buildings at the Beckery, we could potentially house the Glastonbury Dragons. They're looking for somewhere to look after those. Some of you know I'm a puppeteer as well as a poet. We could have an amazing international puppet festival. The one in Skipton is phenomenal. It brings in lots of people, lots of revenue. And interestingly enough, I have a huge collection of Pelham puppets, and Pelhams are actually very much linked with this area. So there are lots and lots of possibilities. I'm going to leave it there because I can't read the rest of my writing.
Thank you. Carol? Thank you. So we're just starting now at 8:10. Thank you. We'll light the unity candle there and do our silent minute. Cameron, would you like to come and light the candle for us, please? Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Okay, so into our agenda. Are there any apologies for absence?
Your Worship, I've had apologies from Councillor Osborne owing to work commitments, and as we've heard already this evening via Councillor Mutch, Councillor Cook may not be able to join us, but potentially will be late. I was unwell for 2 weeks before this meeting, so I don't know whether our Assistant Town Clerk had any other apologies. Councillor Smythe.
And Councillor Napper.
Councillor Napper. Thank you.
Any declarations?
There was a proposal to just suspend standing orders to enable the council to take action more quickly than having to wait to the next meeting. I don't know if that can proceed, but the town clerk would agree that that is in order and that we should take the action more quickly than waiting a month.
May I suggest that you work with the Mayor and the Mayor can write a letter? Because as a former member of the council, I would have hoped you would have understood that motion should actually come and be on the agenda. And I'm really not comfortable with just suspending standing orders because then we kind of go into the ether. However, if you'd like to work with Michael, then Michael can write a letter as the Mayor of Glastonbury. And if you'd like to bring it to a future meeting, if we could have some more notice, then we could have it on the agenda to be considered.
Let's move on, Michael.
Time is too long.
I completely get your point, Alderman Keary.
If I agree with the letter with the Mayor, would you be happy that he would post it on behalf of the council?
I'd be happy for him to post it as Mayor of Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
If that's what Michael wishes to do.
Well, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
On behalf of us all.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
we'll do something about that later on. Thank you.
Bring proposals before the council in future, Alderman Keary. If you let me know, we can have it put on the agenda. That's not a problem at all.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Any declarations of interest that aren't already declared? Okay, to approve and sign the minutes of the last meeting as a correct record.
Thank you, Worship. They were circulated. I shall put them up on the screen.
It was the meeting of the 8th of April.
I believe both yourselves have got a printed copy. I would hope
I have.
Page 80.
Yeah, thank you. Any comments on page 80?
Sorry, Your Worship, don't go and sign that copy. I've got a copy here for you to sign. We'll just go through.
Yeah.
Here you go. Take that copy from me and initial and sign those as we go through. Thank you.
Anything on page 81? Page 82.
Oh.
Is it working or not?
I didn't unfreeze it. There you go.
Okay. I wondered why there weren't any. Anything on page 83? Thank you. Page 84. And page 85. Councillor Cousins?
Your Worship, I'm not sure where else to bring this up in the meeting, but I note in one of the minute notes there that Councillor Hart was unable to attend again, and I would just like to follow on from the outrage of Councillor Napper, who was quite perturbed that we hadn't seen her here for some time, and I just wondered whether we could formally write to Councillor Hart and request her presence when she's summoned to this meeting.
Yeah.
Town Clerk?
Is she summoned?
I will get in touch with Councillor Hart. We don't summon Councillor
No,
Hart.
okay.
She is invited. So
Worship, it's a great shame. We don't.
Thank you. Okay. Can we accept these as a true record? I will suffice. Thank you. And the next item is to
Receive an update.
yes, receive an update on actions from the last meeting.
thank you, Your Worship. Actions raised at the last meeting included drafting a set of terms of reference for a new services orientated committee, which is on your agenda for this evening. The Services and Operations Committee, not wedded to the name. We can have that discussion later in the evening. And the news releases to be sent out and to move forward with the planning permission. So the Climate Emergency and Resilience Officer is moving forward with our planning permission. I did pick up through the minutes, they weren't explicitly noted as an action, but the motion that came to the last meeting about writing to Councillor Richard Wilkins on the subject of the Toucan crossing at the near the B&Q roundabout to enable residents to cross the road there from the little housing estate over toward Travelodge. There was a slight delay in sending that letter because I was off unwell, but that did get sent off yesterday, in fact. And there were a number of other letters that committees had asked me to send off to various bodies and to chase work to be done on the A361 at Coursing Batch, some road signs. So that's all been done, Your Worship. That's an update on actions.
Thank you very much indeed.
Last meeting.
The next item is to review and adopt standing orders. So I've got a squeaky clean set of standing orders here, but hopefully you've all been sent them.
So if I may, Your Worship,
yes, please.
The standing orders are exactly the same as last year, except for one addition, which is up to the council whether they wish to adopt. So members of the public have the right to attend meetings. So it's standing order 3H is an addition. So members of the public have a right to attend meetings. They don't necessarily have a right to speak. However, at public meetings, we do have public participation. It's been raised a number of times that when several members of the public speak on one singular topic, it can exclude other topics being brought from the council. So I took advice from the Somerset Association of Local Councils, and it is up to this council whether you wish to adopt a standing order that limits speakers on certain topics to one speaker per topic. Now, the way to bring this into the council's way of functioning would be to add it as a standing order. So in the office, we've drafted standing order 3H, however, which is the one highlighted at the top.
Yeah.
However, it's up to the council whether you wish to add this to standing orders or not. Otherwise, all the standing orders are exactly the same as they were for the previous municipal year, and they are based on the National Association of Local Councils' most up-to-date model form of standing orders tailored for Glastonbury Town Council.
Thank you.
So that's up to the
Thank you.
council to decide, Your Worship.
Councillor Locabandu?
Your Worship. Could I propose a modification to this where we'd rephrase it slightly to say that priority would be given to people wishing to speak on different subjects? If there's less than 5 people speaking, I don't see why there shouldn't be 2 on the same subject if it is a genuine topical issue.
Councillor Cousins?
Just a point of clarity, Your Worship. Just to double check with the clerk that it is possible for Glastonbury Town Council to put in their own version then of standing orders as would reflect the council's desire to do business in certain ways?
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Cousins. So through the document, I've frozen it so I can't scroll at the moment. There are non-bold and bold standing orders. You can't / shouldn't modify bold standing orders. These, for example, 3A to D, and there are others through the document, because they are standing orders arising from legislation. However, every single standing order that is not in bold is up to this council to decide how it wishes to function. They can be tailored to each council as it sees fit. So this is the set of standing orders that we've adopted since, I think it was either May 2022 or May 2023 when we went on to the latest version of the NELP model. But yes, if the council, I wouldn't suggest you do it this evening, but if councillors want to do a bigger review of standing orders and perhaps modify them, I'm certainly up for doing that piece of work.
Okay. Councillor Cousins?
Just a response, if I may. Many years ago, this council did amend one of the bold items, I suppose. There was a bold amendment where the mayor was given the capacity to suspend standing orders, and it would have been very useful tonight if we still had that power. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Cottle?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. There it is. Yeah, I was just going to say that the standing orders that I have for Somerset, where I chair the planning committee, we allow 5 people to speak on each application, which would be all of the same, basically the same thing. And I'm a little bit uneasy with limiting people's ability to get their point across if there's 2 or 3 people who wish to speak on the same issue.
Okay.
But, you know, I will go with the majority. But I just wanted to say that I find that a little bit difficult.
Okay. Councillor Henderson?
Thank you, Chair. I think that Councillor Cottle's point is specific to planning. I think it would be quite normal for 5 people to speak about a planning application. I think with this meeting, I'll kind of go along with Councillor Lokabandu, but say maybe the mayor's discretion, something like that. Would that be possible?
In fairness, Councillor Henderson, the mayor does always have discretion who that person invites to speak during public participation and how many people get to speak.
And that's kind of there already then, isn't it?
Councillor Cousins?
Just another point of order. This standing order would also impact on all of our committees, I'm assuming, including planning.
Theoretically, the way it's worded, yes, it would at the moment, Councillor Cousins. That's a very good observation.
Councillor Don Francesco?
Thank you. Just quickly, yes, I agree with what all the other councillors said and the concerns. And also, what if 2 speakers are speaking about the same thing but are not connected themselves, as in they're not, you know, they're coming from different angles? I would go, yeah, I would back about what Lukbandu said about maybe it's if there is enough speakers, then cap it at that.
Councillor Manning?
I would also support Councillor Lokabandu's amendment, but I'm very concerned about what Councillor Cousins just said, and I feel that there should be an amendment to say that this applies to full town council meetings only.
Okay. Do we need to do anything else with it or not?
So what I would like, Your Worship, is for someone to make a proposal. So there are a number of options on the table. So this was drafted in response to comments that have been received from councillors. So you've got a number of options. You adopt standing orders without standing order 3H, and it just changes the numbering of every single one after. You can specifically amend the wording. So you can amend the wording to reflect what Councillor Lokabandu said, that preference will be given to speakers on different topics in order of who's registered to speak first. And you could certainly amend it to reflect that either it's only, I would maybe have to change exactly where it sits within standing orders if it were only to be in effect for full council, or I could consider that within the wording. Or we could adopt it exactly how it's written. So I'm getting the consensus that you don't want that, but if someone would like to make a proposal and there's a seconder, you can certainly take a vote, your worship. But we do need to adopt standing orders.
Yeah.
But you've got a number of options in terms of this single change for this year based on feedback.
I think I'd like to propose that we adopt standing orders as they were last year. We take this motion out and we let the mayor use his or her discretion as to which speakers come to public participation, bearing in mind the comments that have been made.
Your worship, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Move to vote on that?
In favour?
In favour. So leaving standing orders as they are, and then doing something about this, or removing it, or mayoral.
As I understand it, your worship, the proposal is to remove this standing order 3H,
Yes.
which will mean that the standing orders we adopt are exactly the same as they were for the previous council year.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So was that, sorry, I saw hands in favour, was that unanimous? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. And the next bit is code of conduct for members, including members of the public who serve on committees and advisory committees.
Thank you, worship. This is completely unchanged from the previous council year, and it is the model code of conduct for that all parish and town and the city councils in Somerset were encouraged to sign, because it was drafted at the formation of the new unitary authority. So it meant that councils at our level were on a level playing field in terms of the code of conduct expected of members. So this is completely unchanged from the last council year.
Thank you. Do we need to vote to adopt that?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
so
okay.
if someone could propose, second, and take a vote that the code of conduct is adopted.
Councillor Cousins?
Your worship, tonight we heard in public participation some people saying about the comments made on social media by this council, which I'm surprised at. I would believe perhaps by councillors of this council making statements that possibly breach the code of conduct. And I wonder how we monitor this and how we deal with this. Is one thing having a code, but it's pretty useless if councillors perceive their ability to just disregard this and carry on as if they had no position of authority within the town, and let their words be perceived as the words of this council, which I hope I don't support that person's view in any way. What I would say is that there are certain councillors who have removed me from being able to see some of their comments on Facebook. So I can only assume it's one of those two councillors who have made this statement, because I do keep an eye on what we're doing. But my point, your worship, is what do we do about enforcing this, and how do we deal with councillors within this council who recklessly make statements on social media?
Thank you. Did you have a comment, Councillor? Did you have a comment?
Councillor Henderson. Thank you, Chair. I completely agree with Councillor Cousins. I thought he was going to propose that we accept these code of conduct. I was going to second that proposal, but as it is, I mean, I'm quite happy to propose that we accept this code of conduct as it stands, and maybe we need an item on the next council agenda to set, just to give everybody a refresher course as to what the code of conduct is for and how they should adhere to the rules and not bring this council into disrepute.
Thank you. Councillor Cottle?
Yeah, I agree with Steve. I think I know who you're alluding to, John. Would it not be a better idea to get somebody from the Somerset to instruct or advise on the standards, really, rather than trying to do it ourselves?
Yeah.
I think it would probably be a better idea.
Councillor Zoe Price, Deputy Mayor.
I wonder if we could ask the clerk what his thoughts are on the code of conduct and how we might ensure that councillors are following it.
Thank you. So in terms of enforcing the code of conduct, we as a council in our own right don't have any place in directly enforcing the code of conduct. All complaints about conduct by councillors are made to the monitoring officer. A member may wish to come and seek advice from myself or the assistant town clerk on conduct they may have seen. The conduct that's been spoken of, I don't remember having read it, but I very rarely read actually what's on social media anymore. So I can certainly give advice, but it's not the town clerk's role or this council's role as a corporate body to enforce the code of conduct. That responsibility sits with the monitoring officer at Somerset Council. So complaints and queries are made to the monitoring officer at Somerset Council. Obviously, informally, as councillors, you can speak to one another about conduct, language that you feel may bring the council into disrepute or may go against the 7 principles of public life or against the code of conduct. But it's not for this council or the proper officer, my role, the town clerk, to directly enforce the code of conduct. That sits with the monitoring officer at Somerset Council. And there are information pages on the Somerset Council website, or you can come and speak to me about how that process can be instigated and followed through, but it's not directly for this council. And that's the same, that's not just Glastonbury Town Council, that is the same in the whole of England and Wales under the Local Government Act 1972.
Who's this? Councillor Manning?
I don't know how many of you have actually, I'm certain everybody has read the Code of Conduct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just remind people of one paragraph. It's very, very brief. It says that this Code of Conduct applies to you as soon as you sign your declaration of acceptance of the office of councillor or attend your first meeting as a co-opted member and continues to apply to you until you cease to be a councillor. So my question is, why are we having to agree a code of conduct? Because we've already signed up for it. We should only surely be having this debate if we were suggesting there should be a change to it.
Good point.
Yeah, Councillor Anderson.
Briefly, Chair. We've got the code of conduct here. I assume we're going to adopt it. I don't think we need particularly any training brought in. I think we should all know what the code of conduct is. We should all know the way we should behave. And I think, I mean, we haven't got any proof, of course, of what has been said tonight. I mean, none of us, none of us have seen the alleged comment. But I think a mention maybe at the next council to all councillors that we've got to adhere to this code of conduct should be enough to make everybody think twice before they post anything on social media.
Councillor O'Toole.
I think it's probably Glastonbury rant and rave that we're talking about. So if you want to join, I've been chucked out.
Rant and rave Glastonbury, I think.
Glastonbury. One of the questions you have to answer is, do you support what the Green Loons have done to Glastonbury, where drugs are rife and people drink in the graveyard? You have to choose either yes or no, or get rid of the Greens. So, I mean...
Yeah.
Who's it?
Thank you.
I don't know that website. Who's the editor?
That's Lily.
I don't know who the editor is.
Okay. So do we have a proposal to adopt this?
You got
Councillor Henderson
has proposed it.
Seconder. Councillor Much. All those in favour? And unanimous. Thank you. Item 12, to appoint signatories to the Town Council's bank accounts. Town Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. Let me just, I'm going to put the agenda back up. I have a list from the responsible finance officer that I will just find on my laptop if you give me a second. So the responsible finance officer is a signatory, but also, so the Town Council is currently using 3 different banks for our bank accounts. We have bank accounts with HSBC, Nationwide and Unity Trust. So we're currently in the process of moving our current account and most of our savings into Unity Trust in line with what the Ethical Banking Subcommittee decided some time ago. So we still have a current account with HSBC and we have a deposit account, I believe, with Nationwide. So we have 2 signatories for HSBC, 2 signatories for Nationwide, and 2 signatories at present for Unity Trust, and it's yourself, Your Worship, Councillor Michael White and Councillor John Cousins. However, because we will be moving forward to be using Unity Trust Bank as our everyday bank, councillors will need to be able to log in and authorise payments. So they'll be loaded into the bank by the responsible finance officer, and then 2 councillors will need to be able to log in to check the invoices against the payments and make a first and then second authorisation before the money leaves the bank account. So ideally, we would have no less than 4 councillor signatories on the Unity Trust account, but they need to be councillors who must be available to view email invoices, log in and authorise payments. So they have to be councillors who, probably in very short supply, who have time and devices, the ability and the will to be able to log in and check invoices against payments. So it's also part of our programme of improving our scrutiny over payments that are made and protection against any fraud. Now, we haven't had any fraud, and touch wood, we won't, but it's all part of strengthening our internal processes. So if I can have, please, 2 signatories, so both the HSBC and the Nationwide accounts, and at least 4 signatories for Unity Trust, I would be very, very appreciative, and so would the responsible finance officer.
Councillor Don Francesco? Okay. And I also am on Unity Trust and had the letter back from the company.
I'm happy to volunteer.
Councillor Lockaband, volunteer. Unity
So
Trust.
thank you. So can I just check? So Councillor Michael White for Unity Trust, Councillor Indra Don Francesco for Unity Trust, Councillor Lokabandu for Unity Trust. Anyone else?
Can those councillors also do the other bank, or does it have to be?
No. Those other councillors can also be signatories on other bank accounts. You just
need one more councillor.
only need one more councillor on Unity Trust, ideally, please.
Councillor Ian Much, thank you.
Councillor Much. Of course, we don't have to only have 4, but I didn't see a sea of hands. But what I'll do, Your Worship, I'll ask the councillors who aren't present this evening, and if any of them wish to be signatories and come to a future meeting for them to be signatories. Could I have 2 signatories, please, for HSBC and Nationwide? At present, it's yourself and Councillor Cousins. There's nothing to mean that has to change. We just need to resolve to be who's going to be signatories on those bank accounts. That involves a lot less logging in, checking invoices, because it's not our current account. They are just accounts that the responsible finance officer moves money within the financial regulations between to get the best interest rate. The money that goes out to pay suppliers and bills will come from Unity Trust. So those 2 bank accounts, I mean, yourself and Councillor Cousins, I can't remember the last time you had to come in and
no, I think I've done once.
Get on the accounts as signatories.
Councillor Cousins?
Your Worship, I just wish to check through you to the clerk that if we continue to be the signatories, there would not be a perceivable problem with that.
There wouldn't
be to remain signatory if that helps.
And I am too.
Thank you. So I've got Councillors Cousins and yourself, Your Worship, Councillor White for HSBC Nationwide. Councillors, yourself, Your Worship, Councillor White, Councillor Don Francesco, Councillor Lokabandu and Councillor Much for Unity Trust. And I'll liaise with the councillors who aren't present and bring forward to a future meeting if any of them would like to also be signatories.
Okay, thank you.
Your Worship.
Thanks, Anne Clark. Okay, item 13, to consider abolishing the Youth Provision Committee and establishing an Operations and Services Committee to include functions listed in the draft terms of reference. Councillor Cottle.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'm interested in this one. What effect will that have on the youth of our town if we remove it? Because I'm seeing that all over the county and elsewhere that there is a lot of concern about the lack of provision for young people, and I would be wary for this council to appear outwardly that we don't care for young people.
Okay, I can say a few things and I'll pass this to the town clerk. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So essentially youth just moves into this other thing, so there's still the budget for it.
Yes, if I may, Your Worship,
yes, please.
The language on the agenda was probably a bit strong. However, so the plan being, as this council has grown quite significantly through the devolution of assets and services from Somerset Council, and also the other responsibilities that we're taking on with the information centre, the health and wellbeing centre, and also the tribunal museum, there was no democratic oversight of anything that was happening in terms of the operations and performance of those parts of what the council provides. So the Youth Provision Committee, it has a contract for youth services which will stay exactly the same, and it meets to give grants and it has its own budget line. That won't change. However, the functions of the Youth Provision Committee will become part of this Services and Operations Committee. So it's not changing anything that the youth of Glastonbury benefit from or that the Youth Provision Committee contribute to. It's just including those responsibilities within a wider committee so that members can consider matters relating to other items. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that all of those items will be on every single agenda. For instance, you'll only really need to consider Christmas shop, trees and lights once a year. So you may well have a meeting. The youth provision will probably be a standing item on that committee's agenda, but you then could have a focus on the information centre in 1 month, then a following month or a following meeting. You don't necessarily have to meet every month. You would have a focus on the tribunal, then a focus on the health and wellbeing centre, and then a focus on how we operate the charter market that we now have responsibility of. So that's the plan. It's not to change anything, but it's to, rather than just add another committee for councillors to be on and another committee for us to do all the administration for, was to take all of the responsibilities and functions of that committee, which ended up only meeting quite seldom and sometimes struggling to be quorate, actually into a wider committee that councillors can give direction to a number of the things that this council is now doing that it hasn't done in previous years. So that's the plan. My hope would be actually there would be absolutely no visible change in what this council provides for the young people of Glastonbury, and in effect it might make it more efficient and easier for councillors to be able to contribute to that if actually they're part of a committee that has a wider scope than necessarily just youth provision, which, unless it particularly is doing a project or has a grant application, the only thing it particularly considers is the contract with our provider for youth services. So actually all of that can still be done, but in a committee with a different name, with a wider scope of functions.
Thank you.
Can I come back?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, just one very quick thing. I think on your, it should be made apparent to the public that is what is happening. I don't think you should just leave it, just alter it, without putting out some kind of press release over it or something.
Okay.
Because it's public perception, and at the moment the public perception of our council is not where it should be, and so I think that, or not, judging by emails that I'm receiving. So I think that would be a good idea.
Certainly an item for later in the agenda, Councillor Cottle. Items for news release.
Councillor March.
Yeah, sort of echoing partly what the Councillor Cottle's just said. The bell that rings in my head here is anybody going meticulously through minutes will look and say, oh look, they've got rid of the youth committee. And then you have to explain everything that the town clerk has just explained to everybody. And with the disinformation running as powerfully as it does these days, we'll waste time doing that. So if the text is simply altered to say that henceforth the youth committee is incorporated within something, rather avoid the words it's being done away with or any form like that, we can save ourselves a headache.
Thank you. Councillor Cousins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Obviously, we have property and assets, and that is a very staid sort of long-term property and heavy sort of committee. I take the feeling of that, and this seems to me to be kind of with it and moving and action committee, which I'm very pleased to see. And it strikes me that after listening to public participation, where someone was lamenting the allotments, I would like to remind councillors that although under the general power of competence we have the power to do many things, we have very few duties in law, and one of those duties is that we have to provide allotments. And we have never had an allotments committee. We kind of farm that all out to other folk. But what I heard tonight was that Sarah, Hallam and Les are literally not able to fulfil perhaps things that they could do through them being overstretched, etc. And it struck me that if our allotments moved from perhaps where they reside sleepily in property and assets and not much happening around them to this new action operations committee, it might actually inspire us to be more, I don't know, proactive than reactive to our allotments and consider them in that kind of operational way that may then enable us to give the full power to our staff to fulfil their duty, our duty, to provide those allotments, Your Worship. So I wondered whether we could chuck allotments in there too.
Thank you. Councillor Henderson.
Chair. Possibly just call the new committee Youth Provision, Operations and Services.
Okay,
I
thank
was
you.
going to suggest the same.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Councillor Lockbandy.
I'm in favour of the new committee. There's a little bit of ambiguity about it in my mind. Where as I understand it, we've got buildings, assets, property and assets, and we've got what happens in the buildings, which is all the operations.
Yeah.
The way this is written, it does sound like a bit like it's looking after the buildings, the information centre, the Tribunal Museum, and the Wellbeing Centre. And I wonder if we should just make it clear we're actually considering operations.
Yeah, operations. Councillor Cousins.
Worship, I think that youth is probably worth mentioning in the title of this committee, but grammatically speaking, if you put youth at the beginning, it would seem that all the things related to it afterwards are only related to youth.
Yes.
So perhaps it would be better to be operations, comma, youth, comma, and services.
Councillor Henderson.
I apologise for my lack of punctuation, but I did mean youth provision, comma, operations and services.
Well, I'll get pulled up on that all the time.
Yes, thank you. So do we have a proposer for implementing the new operations and services and youth committee and whatever? Councillor Cousins.
Your Worship, I would like to propose that operations related to the allotments is also considered in this committee, and I would like to propose that before we get on to accepting the terms of reference.
Okay, thank you. Got it?
All those in favour?
Move to vote, Your
no,
Worship.
yeah, move to vote. All those in favour of?
So all those in favour of the amendment, which is to change the name to Operations, Youth and Services Committee, with commas, and to add the operation of the allotments. I will just say I don't recognise I don't necessarily agree with the comments that have been made that Sarah and Les don't have any time to do the allotments at all. I personally disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I haven't got any problems with operations relating to the allotments as little as there are being included with this committee. So what you're voting for, Your Worship, is the amendment, one on the name, Operations, comma, Youth, comma, and Services Committee, and to add the operations of the allotments. And I'll make it clearer in that first sentence relating to the operations of, colon, and everything underneath it.
Okay, thank you.
So you're voting on the amendment, and then that becomes the substantive, and then you need to vote on that.
So, Your Worship, I'm happy to propose what he said.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second there? Councillor Henderson, all those in favour of the amendment, thank you, is unanimous, thank you.
That becomes the substantive, Your Worship.
Okay.
You need to agree to set it up and then tell me who'd like to be on it.
Okay, so we'll vote now to establish that said committee. Is that correct?
So are you proposing that, Councillor White?
I'm happy to propose it, actually, and Councillor Ronnie Dougal will second it.
Thank you.
So all those in favour of establishing this new committee? And again is unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, Worship.
And who would like to be on it?
Actually,
oh, sorry.
Yeah, yes, we will do it now because we've formed it. We will do it now, Your Worship. Yes, please.
I'm happy to be on it.
We may have already voted.
Your Worship, should we raise our hands, say our name, and lower our hands?
Yeah, to be on it. Okay.
Councillor Cousins.
Like the idea of the museum.
McDougall.
Yeah.
White.
Sorry, I've got Councillor Cousins, Councillor Ronnie Dougal. Who's next?
Councillor McDougall, Councillor Price, Councillor White, Councillor Cottle, Councillor Oakton, Councillor Manning. Any others?
No, okay.
Thank you. So I've got
Thank
councillors Cousins, Roney, Dougal, McDougall, Price, White, yourself, your worship, councillor Cottle, Oakton and Manning.
Yeah.
What I
thank
shall
you.
do, your worship, I will ask any members who aren't present this evening, as
Yes.
we will do in a later agenda item, if they wish to join any committees. Is it the consensus of the council that if members wish to join those committees, that they can just join them rather than it come back to be a vote?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Yes, please.
Sorry, Your Worship. How often does it intend to meet?
That is a decision for the committee. So what I shall do, I'll be in touch with the membership at some point after this meeting to instigate a first meeting, and then that committee can then decide how often it wishes to meet.
At least weekly.
Thank you. Right, next. Item 14, to consider the terms of reference for and appoint members to committees, subcommittees and advisory committees. Town Clerk.
So, Your Worship, thank you. What I will do, where I have made changes to terms of reference, they've been in your folder and I will just raise them this evening. If I don't talk about a set of terms of reference, they are exactly the same as they were for the previous council year. So I've formalised the Frost Fair Committee's powers, functions, because strangely I couldn't find a set of terms of reference for the Frost Fair Committee, so it now has one. So the most important bullet point is bullet point number 2, and the committee can consider and make decisions relating to the Town Council's annual Frost Fair event. Easy, as the group already does. The next set of terms of reference that I've modified, so I've modified the property and assets terms of reference. I need to update the dates, so ignore those. So all the wording in green is where I've made a slight amendment, Your Worship, in order to both add functions but also make it clearer what the committee is for. So the committee can meet and consider and make decisions relating to maintenance, repair, replacement, enhancement, acquisition, disposal of all Town Council owned or managed, because there are potentially going to be bits of land that we will manage but not own, including, there should be a comma after land, like that, boulevards, right of way and play areas / parks as a new function coming to the Town Council. That will be to consider the maintenance and improvement of our new to us play areas and parks. Wider town improvements was an addition that was made in a previous year, and the Property and Assets Committee will also consider, so the Services Committee, if you allow me to shorten it, will consider the operations of our charter market, how we run it each week. However, as it's an asset that has come to the Town Council from Somerset Council, because Mendip District Council stole it in 1974, we've got the Royal Charter and the market rights have been transferred back to Glastonbury Town Council, as that's a function of this council to decide who, what, when and where someone may or may not, or a group may or may not hold a market within Glastonbury. Or if you read the really, really old wording of the Royal Charter, something strange within something like 6 1/3 miles of the centre of Glastonbury. It's a very, very strange bit of legislation, granting a third party market rights under our Royal Charter. So that will be an item for the Property and Assets Committee to consider. So for instance, the vegan market that was recently held in Glastonbury, Somerset Council held the market rights for Glastonbury, so they applied to Somerset Council to hold that market. That will be a responsibility of Glastonbury Town Council going forward. So that's something for the Property and Assets Committee to consider, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Otherwise, unchanged.
Councillor Cottle?
Yeah, just one question and clarification for members. That'll mean that as we have the market rights now as a town council, that will include every single little thing, including a bric-a-brac or anything like that, that we can charge a small fee for each stall on, and they will have to come to us for every single market over a certain size. I can't remember now.
If an organisation wishes to run a market in Glastonbury, they need to come to Glastonbury Town Council for permission.
Yeah.
In terms of street trading and say, I don't know if they're still called peddlers' licences, but street trading licences and enforcement, that still sits with Somerset Council. We are only granting the rights for an organisation or a person to hold a formal market in Glastonbury.
Okay, everybody got that?
Just the street trading.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a point of order, really. I wonder if it could be noted in the minute of this meeting the historic return of the Royal Charter to Glastonbury and the marketing rights, because, as the clerk quite rightly said, it was rudely ripped away from us in 1974. And this is quite a prestigious moment, and it would be quite fitting in the minute to actually almost paraphrase exactly what the clerk said there, about the history of its removal and now its return, so that future generations looking at the minutes, we've got an idle 5 minutes or so on the future of the internet, will be able to see this historic moment.
Is it 1184, the charter?
1189.
1189, thank you.
1189 is the founding of the town of Glastonbury, the Nouveau Villa, as it's referred to in the original document.
Thank you.
1189.
Do we need to do anything else with item 14 about the committee?
So, Your Worship, if I could have a proposer, a seconder and a vote to adopt the terms of reference for Frost Fair, and a proposer and a seconder to adopt the terms of reference for property and assets. I'll sort out my slightly dodgy grammar in the case of redrafting these quickly for this meeting.
Them under one proposal?
You could do them under one proposal, yes.
Councillor Henderson?
Chair, I propose that we accept the changes made by the clerk for property and assets and the Frost Fair terms of reference.
And market. Okay, Councillor Rennie Dougal seconded.
Thank you.
All those in
May I
favour?
just make a point of order? The clerk remembers that we're under the auspices of Oxford and not Cambridge.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Cousins.
All those in favour? And unanimous again. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Worship. So before we move on to item number 15, Your Worship, if I may, we have now the rather daunting task of going through our list of committees and members nominating yourselves to sit on said committees. So if you give me just a second, I will go through them committee by committee. And if you'd like to be on it, please raise your hand. And then when I say your name, please put your hand down. We've got such a long list of committees. Let me just find it. So please, members who would like to sit on the Property and Assets Committee. So I've got Councillor Price, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Roney Dougal, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Manning, Councillor Lokabandu, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Oakton, Councillor Cottle, and yourself, Councillor White,
Thank you.
Your Worship. The Finance and General Purposes Committee. Now, just before we get into that one, as Deputy Mayor, in standing orders, Councillor Price, you are the chair, so you are automatically a member.
Do I have my hand up?
Excellent, that's what I like to see. So count for Finance and General Purposes, please. I've got Councillor Price, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Roney Dougal, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Manning, Councillor Lokabandu, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Cottle, and yourself, Your Worship, Councillor White. The Staffing Committee and Subcommittee. So the terms of reference for the Staffing Committee and therefore the Subcommittee, because the Subcommittee's terms of reference mirror those for the actual committee. So yourself as Mayor, Councillor White, you are on that committee and you are the chair.
Thank you.
Councillor Price, you are on that committee as the deputy chair. And the immediate previous Mayor, Councillor Lokabandu, are on that committee. So that leaves 2 spots on that committee for other councillors around the table. And last year, the terms of reference were changed to allow Councillor Cousins to be on that committee, as Councillor Cousins has been on the council for a long time as a non-voting member. So it's up to the council whether you wish to consider that, consider continuing that or not. So there's 2 spots for councillors and potentially for continuity reasons, Councillor Cousins is a non-voting member.
Councillor Cousins.
Thank you. I think that the Staffing Committee could easily do without my services at long last, and I'd be very happy to step down from that, but would thank the council for entrusting that that role to me in that period of time. But I do feel that there's an immense amount of experience on the committee with just the 3 mayoral members. I would say that Councillor Smythe contacted me today so that I could express his wish to be on this committee should the council be happy for him to do so.
Would you also contact the other the councillors who are not here? If they
So
wanted on something?
the only reason that gets a bit tricky, Your Worship,
Okay.
is that there are actually only really 2 spots available
Okay.
to fill that committee.
Okay.
And because you are due as a committee to have a meeting quite soon,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even suggest you postpone it until the next meeting.
Okay.
What I would suggest is actually you fill those 2 spots based on the members who are present here at the meeting this evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Councillor Oakton will go.
So, okay. So I've got yourself, Councillor White, Councillor Price, Councillor Lokabandu, Councillor Oakton, and there's theoretically 1 space left.
Smythe said he wanted to go on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the general consensus, absolutely. So Councillor Smythe.
Councillor Smythe. He did say to me about a month ago as well. Thank you.
Planning Committee. So hands up please for Planning Committee. So I've got Councillor MacDougall, Councillor Roney Dougal, Councillor Much, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Manning, Councillor Henderson. That's it. Thank you. Glastonbury and Bloom Committee. Oh.
Councillor Smythe was on planning. I would
I don't know if he wants to or not.
So,
I don't know.
So what I'm going to do, Councillor Henderson, I'm going to contact members who aren't present this evening, ask them which committees they wish to be on other than staffing, because that's the only committee where we have a limit on the membership, and I'll add those councillors to the committees where they wish to be part of it, because the consensus of the council was that you're happy for me to do that.
Okay. Councillor Cousins?
Worship, I completely forgot that Councillor Smythe also told me he would like to be on property and assets.
Okay.
I'll add Councillor Smythe to that now, but I'll still contact
Yeah.
other members who weren't present this evening.
Okay.
Thank you. So Glastonbury and Bloom Committee. So I've got Councillor White, Councillor Much, Councillor Oakton, Councillor Cousins, and that's it for those present in the meeting. The 2030 Committee, formerly 2 years ago, the Resilience Committee.
Long name.
So Councillor White, yep. Councillor MacDougall, Councillor Don Francesco, Councillor Cousins. That's that one. Thank you. The A361 Committee. Councillor Roney Dougal. So I will just say that we would have to have a quorum at that meeting of at least 3 members. So there need to be at least 3 members who want to join that committee for it to essentially run and be established. So if Councillor Roney Dougal in the room is the only volunteer and the other members who aren't present don't sign up to be that committee, it's not a committee that could lawfully run. So I'll just say that.
Councillor?
I'm not volunteering to be on it. I was going to propose that it was merged with the climate change or resilience.
We see it.
The issues involved.
Right.
One or the other.
Councillor Cottle?
Yeah, no, I don't want to be on it
No,
either.
no, you want to second that?
I want to sort of go with Lindsay there.
Yeah.
But I would like it to be clear that I'm informed of all of the any opinions that come from the A361.
Okay. So is that a proposal that the responsibilities of the A361 committee be added to the 2030, formerly the Resilience Committee that looks at?
Worship, I'd like to second that proposal, as otherwise this issue won't be dealt with.
Okay.
Well, I already had, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apologise.
So Councillor MacDougall is proposing that.
Yeah.
Councillor Cousins is seconding that.
Councillor Cottle.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Was it?
I proposed it.
Sorry. So Councillor MacDougall has proposed.
Councillor Cottle.
Second.
No, Councillor Cottle
has seconded.
Thank
you.
Cottle's here.
And that will
not very well.
And that will go into the 2030.
I could have a vote, please, of council that you're happy for that to happen. So we've got a proposer and a seconder. So is that unanimous?
Yes, reluctantly, thank
Very
you.
reluctantly.
Yeah.
Right, okie dokie. So as part of that, you've delegated to me to alter those terms of reference. So
Yeah.
I'll make a
Worship.
In which case I'll be a member of the 23rd.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Cool. The Arts, Culture and Events Committee. I was contacted by Councillor Osborne, just while I remember, who wanted to be part of that committee. Who else wishes to serve on the Arts, Culture and Events Committee, please? So Councillor Price, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Lokabandu, and obviously that has quite a number of members. Oh, and Councillor Oakton, I do apologise. That obviously has a number of members of the public as well on that one as a committee that relates to tourism. So Frost Fair Committee, please. So I've got Councillor Price, Councillor Oakton, Councillor Manning, and Councillor White. Thank you. The St Dunstan's House project implementation. Actually, may I, Your Worship,
Yeah.
this one, I forgot to draft a new terms of reference for this one. I was proposing to change the St Dunstan's House project implementation subcommittee to just a normal committee. That opens it up to a wider membership, and also it hasn't needed to meet urgently, as is the benefit of a subcommittee. So if I could have a proposer and a seconder that it be changed to a normal standing committee, and then please members who would like to sit on it. It won't need to meet, probably only need to meet once or twice before the project's finished, but it does still have a role to play.
Thank you. Councillor Cousins?
Your Worship, would this not be an agenda item for our new operations committee? It strikes me that it possibly could, especially as it's so near the end. I don't know.
I can say one thing. So the implementation committee originally was to turn it from the paper plan into what's happening here. And we'd be meeting regularly about every 2-3 weeks at times.
So reflecting on what Councillor Cousins has said, within the terms of reference for property and assets, it quite comfortably already sits within that committee. You were right that at a time when we were considering the minute detail of the project, it needed to meet on its own and more regularly. It hasn't met for a number of months. So actually what you could decide to do as a council is actually to close and end that committee, because you do need a proposal to actually formally end a committee. And property and assets, it's only got a couple of items to deal with before the facility opens, and then when the facility opens, it's already within the terms of reference for the operations committee, because it will be open and running. So if I may, Your Worship, if there's a proposer actually to close that committee, property and assets will deal with those matters before it opens, and then a seconder and a vote.
I'm happy to do that if you feel that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to second it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All those in favour? And unanimous again. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. We've already dealt with those. Based on actually what I've just said in our previous vote to establish the services committee, within that proposal, can I just check, obviously, that councillors are happy after changing the name of the new committee, that actually the youth provision committee is also closing?
Yes.
Based on what I just said. That's fantastic. Just wanted to check. Thank you. The next one is the Climate and Ecological Emergency Advisory Committee, please. So Councillor Ronnie Dougal, and as an advisory, Councillor Cousins, Councillor MacDougall. As an advisory committee, it doesn't have the same requirements for a quorum, because it doesn't make decisions. However, there's a number of members of the public who I believe are still involved in that as well. The Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee, please. So I've got Councillor MacDougall, Councillor Ronnie Dougal. We should seat you both further apart. Councillor Don Francesco, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Manning, to sit on the Neighbourhood Plan Advisory Committee.
May I just make a point of clarity there? I strongly suspect and hope that this will be the last year that this committee is in place for then a number of years, as we're moving very swiftly now towards the completion of the neighbourhood plan.
The Town Centre Crime Reduction Advisory Committee. Now, again, Your Worship, I do apologise. This is one that I should have raised. Based on feedback, Town Centre Crime Reduction, I've just made my notes. So the terms of reference currently state that 4 councillors sit on that committee. It's been mentioned to myself a couple of times, and you and I had a discussion at the market today, actually, that with the incidents of antisocial behaviour in the town recently, that actually a stronger representation from the town council should be on that committee, as it was an advisory committee set up not on the advice of, but it was an idea of the police. So actually that really is our proper route to be liaising with the police and lobbying with the police. It's a shame that they don't always turn up, and they don't seem to make the effort that they once said they would to turn up to those meetings. However, I feel that with yourself and other feedback I've had, Your Worship, more councillors on that committee would perhaps give it more opportunity to lobby the police and a stronger sentiment in the room when we have those meetings. So based on discussions with yourself, and it's up to the council what you wish to adopt, I changed the number of councillors that could be present on that advisory committee from 4 to 8. It's up to the council how many you wish to perhaps be on that advisory committee, but I haven't changed the number of representatives from other groups, which include business owners, non-bricks and mortar, let me get, if I unfreeze that, I've got the list of them. Non-bricks and mortar residents, bricks and mortar residents, unitary authority councillors, police representatives, and a representative from St John's Church. So the only change is the green highlighted 8, which I've provisionally changed from 4. However, it's up to the council whether you wish to adopt that, change that, and then who wishes to be on it, Your Worship.
I want to ask a question, because as a unitary councillor, who is supposed to let me know when the meetings are taking place?
The clerk of the committee, which isn't me, but the clerk of the committee.
Can you remind them?
Right, okay.
You're not on it at the moment, Nick.
I will go. Yeah.
You have always been on it, Nick, so...
Yeah, I might be missing it somehow.
Okay.
But make sure that they do it, because I will go, because I'm pretty annoyed, shall we say, about our local situation.
Yes, County Councillor Suzanne Hart was on it, but hasn't been for many times. I think she came about 3 times.
Councillor Cousins? So I wondered, just as a point of clarity, whether or not the clerk of this committee is notifying the unitary authority councillors on their unitary authority emails.
Councillor Henderson?
I'd just propose that we adopt the change from 4 to 8 town councillors.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Houghton, second. Thank you. All those in favour? And unanimous again, thank you.
Thank you. So who would like to serve? Which 8 of you would like to serve on that advisory committee, please, Councillor White? So I've got...
9 of us.
Oh, well, so in terms of hands up, I've got Councillor White, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Much, Councillor Don Francesco, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Lokabandu, Councillor Manning, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Oakton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 of you.
Happy to stand down.
That's 8 of you. So I've got councillors White, McDougall, Much, Don Francesco, Lokabandu, Manning, Henderson and Oakton for the Town Centre Crime Reduction Advisory Committee. Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
We aren't finished yet, unfortunately, Your Worship.
Councillor Lokabandu. Again, in view of the current situation in town, I'd like to make a request to, I'm not quite sure who, this committee tries to meet as soon as possible.
There is a meeting this Thursday.
The meeting next week.
There is actually a meeting this Thursday, which is more of a task force.
Yeah, I can't make it Thursday.
Yeah, Michael Serena's got.
Oh, yes,
I noticed that there were 2 representatives of the non-bricks and mortars. I don't know how they are contacted or chosen, but we had 4 really quite responsible non-bricks and mortars people who spoke today, and maybe we could ask the 2 who spoke if they would be interested in being part of that committee.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should reach out because they seem very responsible people, and they might be very good representatives.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Cousins?
Well, similarly, Your Worship, I'm slightly confused how the bricks and mortar people are selected from a town with nearly 9,000 residents.
I believe when the committee was first set up, it was advertised as an opportunity. So when the committee of, well, the councillors now meet, I guess you'll have to decide how you want to fill those roles, whether the people who currently sit in them, if you do have enough members sitting in them, would like to continue, or whether you go out to advert for people to volunteer to be on that committee. So when the clerk of that committee, Sarah Hallam, gets in touch with you all to organise your first proper meeting after this one, that's an item that you'll have to consider at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cousins?
Well, Your Worship, I'm pleased to hear that, as I note on Facebook that there are many residents who know exactly how to deal with this.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You've got one advisory committee left.
Okay.
So this is the World Heritage Status Advisory Committee. This is the committee that's just made up of councillors. The one that includes the 12 members of the public is not changing because the terms of reference, we only established it a few months ago. Take it through to its September, which is an item probably to consider in the future as they wish to request an extension. However, this is the advisory committee that constitutes only councillors, and this is the mechanism through which we manage our contract with the consultants and meet with the consultants. So if I can have councillors please volunteer to sit on the Councillor Advisory Committee for World Heritage Status, please. So I've got Councillor White, Councillor Price, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Ronnie Dougal, Councillor Don Francesco, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Okabandu, Councillor Paul Manning, Councillor Oakton. Did I see your hand, Councillor Henderson, or not?
No. Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Are we there?
That's it for our extensive list of committees and advisory committees.
Thank you. Right, item 15 is to appoint representatives to outside bodies. Now, we do have rather a lengthy list.
So if I may, Your Worship, there's a short list of outside bodies to which we actually formally nominate a representative. Okay. There's only a short list that actually requests that we nominate someone.
Yeah.
There is a longer list of organisations that councillors may wish to represent to the council and feed back to the council. There are also a number of topics that for which councillors may wish to be a lead member. Highways, for example, not looking particularly at Councillor Cottle. But the list of outside bodies and responsibilities that we actually formally make a nomination for. So we are requested to make one. I'll read the list first and then we'll take them in order.
Yeah.
To the Glastonbury Town Deal Board, we are requested to nominate one member. To the Austin Memorial Homes Charity, we are requested to nominate 4 members. For the Glastonbury and Sharkham Joint Burial Committee, colloquially known as the Burial Board, we are asked to nominate 7 members. The Avalon and Poldens Local Community Network, which is the LCN that we are in, we are asked to nominate 1 member. And I note that fair trade is a topic for which that we normally nominate 1 lead representative. So I suggest that's included on this list as well. In terms of other organisations and responsibilities that may wish to be, councillors may wish to act as a conduit between the council and that organisation, that is absolutely fine and doesn't need to necessarily be agreed by the council, but this is a short list for which we actually formally have to make nominations to.
Okay.
Your Worship, point of order.
Yes.
There's one off missing from that list, which is maybe because it's always the mayor, but Glastonbury People's Trust, I declare an interest. The mayor of Glastonbury is always, as the vicar of Glastonbury, an ex officio trustee.
Thank you. So the Town Deal Board, I've been this council's representative on it for 3 years. As mayor, I also get a seat as mayor. So what I'm wondering, rather than losing a seat, if one of the previous people, Councillor Lokabandu, for example, might want to become the representative for the council, and then I will be there as the mayor. So we still keep 2 places on it. Councillor Cousins?
Well, I would be, I have to declare an interest as I'm a community member, but if Councillor Lokabandu is willing to be our representative I thought that his mindful and direct responses to some of the issues that we have there have been extremely useful, and I would welcome him as a board member on the Town Deal Board.
Thank you.
If you were happy to be our representative. I'm happy to propose that, Your Worship.
Okay. Anyone to second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you. And all those in favour of council?
Your Worship, you should ask if anyone else wishes to.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Does anybody else want to be on the Town Deal Board? No. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
To vote.
Yeah, but move to vote. So that Councillor Lochabandu becomes the Glastonbury Town Council representative onto the Town Deal Board. Thank you. All those in favour? And unanimous again. Thank you, councillors.
Congratulations.
Next, Your Worship, is the Austin Memorial Homes charity, for which we are asked to nominate 4 members.
Yeah. Currently, I'm a trustee of Austin. Councillor Price is a trustee. Were you a trustee?
I thought I was last year, but turned out not.
Okay. Councillor Henderson?
A quick question. Is this the arms houses?
It is.
Yeah, the little ones down.
Alderman Keary approached me last week and said they were looking for trustees.
Okay.
I'd be willing to do it. So could I do that sort of separately from being a councillor? I mean, I was going to say yes to him.
It's a question I'm going to actually refer to Jackie sat at the back. Jackie, is the charity looking for additional trustees as well as councillor members?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So we've got trustees from the council and we've also got trustees that are outside the council.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 4 from the council will be trustees.
Yeah.
But they'll be representatives of the council.
It only meets about twice a year, 3 times a year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I'd be quite happy to do
Okay.
that.
Councillor Henderson and Councillor Cottle.
I'll have a go at
Thank
that
you.
as well.
They're normally daytime meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes life a lot easier for me.
Okay.
Is there anyone else, Councillor White? Because we are potentially looking for 4. I know there are members not present in the room.
Well, am I already on?
You're already a trustee of it.
I think the only thing for me is if the meetings are in the day, it's very difficult for me to attend.
So usually it was Mondays, which we did, was your day off. Yeah.
Are you happy to be a trustee?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? That's 3. I guess we're banking on someone else who's not here willing to be. I've got Councillor Henderson, Cottle, Price.
And me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me told off.
Okay. Burial Board?
The Glastonbury and Sharpham Joint Burial Committee, for which we're asked to nominate 7 members.
Thank you.
I got Councillor White, Councillor Cousins,
Councillor Manning,
Cottle, Councillor Manning. Now I will. So what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah.
The Joint Burial Committee is a very, very old. I wouldn't say very old. It's 1972/4 creation. Quite a lot of parish and town councils have basically brought the operations of cemeteries actually in-house. Where it's slightly more complicated for us because it's a joint burial committee, we need to get our, I wouldn't even say joint partner because we've got 7 representatives and they've got 1.
Yeah.
But our partners at Sharpham, a parish meeting rather than a parish council, need to essentially agree that Glastonbury Town Council fully bring in the operation and the accounting and the reporting, etc., of the burial board into how we already operate. So the burial board funds itself, so it wouldn't be a cost to the town council, but we would have to get essentially written permission from Sharpham to retain Sharpham residents' rights to the preferential burial rates that they're entitled to, but for the entire accounting operation, which essentially already is. We do the administration. The town clerk, me, is the clerk of the burial committee. Jackie does the administration. The burial board just exists as this old charity. It's not even a charity, actually.
No.
It's just...
No, it's an authority.
Yeah, it's just a thing that exists. I spoke to the former town clerk, Steve Luck, at Wells. They insourced their joint burial committee quite a number of years ago and just did it through an exchange of letters between the parishes. So what I would say is I don't actually imagine that past this financial year, hopefully, touch wood, that actually the joint burial committee necessarily need to really have members or exist. It just... What I'm hoping is that we can have a meeting, get Sharpham's agreement that next financial year for the accounting software side of things, to bring the accounting inside, and then actually it would be a function that's added to the services and operations committee that we've just added to, rather than having another meeting. So what I would ask, although members may be a bit reticent, we need another 3 members. I'm hoping it really won't need to meet very often, and we can have meetings at times that suit. If I could just have another 3 hands, so we could hopefully get it over the line that we could bring it in-house, I'd be very appreciative. I'm hoping we only have to meet once or twice. So I've got Councillor Price. I'm looking for 2 more, please.
Did you put me?
I've already got yourself, Councillor White, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, but unfortunately I don't get to add another. Councillor Henderson and Councillor Lokabandu. Thank you. I promise we'll abolish this.
Yes.
The Avalon and Poldens LCN, please. We're asked to nominate 1 member. However, more members are obviously entitled to attend meetings and contribute, but we are asked to make 1 nomination to go to meetings and feedback information.
Councillor McDougall.
I'll do it if nobody else.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. And without looking in your direction necessarily straight again, the topic of fair trade, we're looking to appoint a lead member. Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Of course, as I said, there may be other organisations, topics, causes that councillors wish to feed back to the council on, but they're the only bodies we're asked to make a formal representation to, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that it for the moment?
That's it for that agenda item.
Thank you. Right. The highlight of tonight's agenda is to consider councillor requests for a council-issued laptop for official council use, with the aim of supporting effective communication, document access and digital participation in meetings. So I presume if you want a laptop, you put your hand up and ask the clerk to give you one.
So the reason, Your Worship, it's on the agenda, so there are a number of devices from our previous round of trialling this that are still working. However, they had quite a high failure rate. They were quite cheap devices offered to us as a basically corporate social responsibility initiative from a private business that didn't need the number of laptops that they had. However, I've been approached by a number of different councillors that actually don't necessarily have the technology that they need to fully engage with council business and to contribute to what the council does. So the request is that the council delegate to me the task of providing councillors who need I wouldn't strictly limit it to only a laptop. I would a council issued device, because different devices work better for different people. To delegate that to me, and there's not necessarily a budget line for it, but with the responsible finance officer, we will find the appropriate place to make that expenditure, and if it presents as an overspend, say for instance on the equipment budget, I'll just have to report that to full council. But it is, as you said, essential in these times to support effective communication, not only between officers and councillors, but also councillors and the public, document access, digital participation in meetings, but also contribution to work that committees are doing. So the preparation of documents, presentations, etc., etc. So if I can have a proposer and a seconder that I be delegated to provide those devices for official council use.
Thank you.
Propose.
Yeah, Councillor Cousins, Councillor Don Francesco.
Move to vote, Your Worship.
Move to vote. Thank you.
Is that unanimous, Your Worship? I'm still writing the word second.
Yes, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if you need a device, talk to the town clerk.
We'll buy better ones than last time.
Yes. Okay, to consider the schedule of payments.
Worship, can I say noted?
Sorry?
Can I say noted?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't have any questions raised on the schedule of payments before the meeting, Your Worship. Are there any questions?
I let you off this one.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I checked all the big numbers and thought, oh, yeah, that's Donson's house, that's something other.
Noted, Your Worship.
Thank you.
So I've got a copy here for yourself and for the Deputy Mayor to sign, Your Worship.
Thank you.
I will say it's probably quite rare among councils of our size that actually a town clerk wouldn't probably know down to the penny what our expenditure tends to be for. So I wouldn't say you're lucky, but you're all quite lucky.
Just sign that. Just sign that. Do you need this dated?
If it's got I think so, yes, please. 13th of May. It normally has a little date
Oh,
box.
no, it's already typed in. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
To note resolutions of delegated committees.
Worship, noted.
Ah, thank you. Well, that was jolly good.
Can you do it that quick every month?
To note the resolution, oh no, we've done that. To receive updates from advisory committees and consider recommendations for decisions.
I will just say, Arts, Culture and Events is not an advisory committee, despite me issuing a list of what committee is what. That has slipped in there by accident.
Okay.
So it's B, C and D to consider, and I believe Councillor Ronnie Dougal has an update, and I have got
Would you like to put the...
Absolutely can, yeah.
Oh, it's very hot.
So I've made a couple of A4 copies, which I passed around, one on each side. This comes from, you might remember we did with Somerset Wildlife Trust, a climate adaptation plan. And it came to this committee and we agreed to support it. And the Mayor, LB at the time, said, but there's nothing in specific that we're doing. Let's do something specific. So we tried, if you remembered, for the installing of water butts, which was one of the anti-flooding proposal that had come forward as an action. But then, unfortunately, there were no people to actually do it. So because we were also going to do a People's Assembly to get the 4 different areas that the climate adaptation plan had come up with, and get people to action those. But then there wasn't enough people or energy to do the People's Assembly to get that up and running. So I decided we could do something, and with Melissa's help and Rachel's help and other people in the Climate Emergency Committee, we came up with this leaflet about how to stop our polluted rivers from the flooding. I've talked to you about it before. This is the leaflet, and then Ian Much took another, so if we could see page 2, please. Ian Much took another of the facets from the Climate Adaptation Plan about having green walls on our houses to help with insect populations. So we got this leaflet, which we have produced, and the Climate and Emergency Committee agreed that we fund it. And so we've got 1,100 in the budget left over from the last 2 years. So we've got the budget in the committee. I got the printing costs for the recycled paper from St Andrew's Press, who are the cheapest for doing that, and that's at £368 for 5,000 leaflets. And the delivery costs from Royal Mail are £582.56, which makes a total of £950.56, which is within the 1,100 that we've got carried over from the previous 2 years. So it's not going into this year's budget at all, it's the carried over money. And so because we were going to spend that money on the People's Assembly, but we haven't. So what I would like to ask, that we have recommended from the committee that we fund this leaflet and send it out by Royal Mail, and that will be at least something for our support of the Climate Adaptation Plan. And I'm asking this committee, this council, to support that recommendation.
Councillor Cousins.
I would propose that, Your Worship.
Okay.
Move to vote, Your Worship.
Councillor Henderson second, and move to vote. Thank you, and unanimous again. Thank you. Thank you.
And so Lindsay, as chair of the Climate Emergency Committee, would also like to mention other factors that came up at the meeting.
Yes. So continuing the theme of water, we had a presentation about Wessex water and pollution from a couple of we had a presentation, and there was a lot of enthusiasm to form a water advisory group One of the things that we will be doing is to do citizens science testing of the waterways. So if anybody here would like to join us, then there is a group there. There's plenty of enthusiasm, so no need for more people. If you want to join, that was an important outcome of that meeting. There was also something that I don't know whether Indra wants to talk about, the Citizens Network, which...
No, that's really fine. I'll keep it to the actual meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I've got to say about that.
Thank you. Unitary Councillor reports.
I'll be quick. I've got a written report coming out this week. I should have sent it by now, but I haven't. We finally persuaded somebody in my group to bring it all together. So we'll be starting to get a monthly written report from me as well. On Glastonbury, as always, there are the problems. As some of you who are on Facebook and other social media outlets will have noticed my email or posting, which has gone to Nub News now, where they've already put it out. I've had 200 and it was about just under 260 the last time I looked this morning of actual comments in response, more likes, much more likes, and the thing that I've read most of them so far, I haven't had enough time. There have been some really highly abusive ones, I've got to say.
Okay,
And when I say highly abusive, I mean really abusive. To me personally, which is expected. Whenever you put your head up, you expect to get shot at. But there's been ones about the council, obviously, as we would expect. There's been lots about the police. Not existing, and other things. So I'm going to take get all this information together. I'm sharing it with my Somerset colleagues as well. I'm going to sift through it all and work it all out. But it looks, we don't want, right, I'm done this as a town councillor, really, because I'm fed up with hearing all the slanging about the town council. Now, I personally regard all 16 of us around here of good hearts. Our hearts are in the right place, regardless of our politics. That don't make any odds. And I'm fed up to the top of here with the people on the street who know nothing. When I say know nothing, they don't know how it all works. And so they make comments all the time, criticising, i.e. Glastonbury Town Council, a lot. And they don't get it right. They're wrong. And so I'm determined that I'm going to put a stop to this one way or the other. Because the antisocial behaviour that's been going on in our town, none of us want this at all. And for people to accuse us as a town council, and I'm talking as people, not as members of political groups, to accuse us of encouraging it, and all the other things they say is wrong, and it needs to be put forward, and they need to understand. And I don't think that as a town council, and maybe as a county council I've turned a blind eye, but as a town council, we have not been strong enough in putting forward what we actually do and what we actually think. And I believe as a council, we should be doing that. And we need to get it across because too many people are too horrible to this town council. Full stop.
Thank you. Yeah, that was that comment about the newsletter, the quarterly newsletter, for exactly those things.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
It has to be sorted. It's got to be sorted. It's got to change.
Thank you.
Sorry, John, have you got a question, mate?
Well, I just thank you, Nick, for all you said, and I think it just reminds me of the Arts and Culture and Events Committee made a recommendation to this council a couple of meetings ago that we actually employ a comms officer, because somebody who is able to experience and able to dedicate themselves to addressing these issues in an experienced professional way, I think would be a real benefit to this council, and also help us to disseminate what we actually do as a council, and,
the message,
and get the message right. And I know that is something that might appear frivolous to some councillors who probably post a lot on Facebook, and I can't see it. But you know, this is really highlighted the way that things happen. Unfortunately, people are so upset around things such as the antisocial behaviour, the attitude of certain people who may have come back to town recently, etc., that they need to blame someone. And I'm afraid, like you say, it's us. But the real responsibility to keep law and order is not just this council's or the police indeed, but our community as a whole. And it's the behaviour of our community and the way that they respond to things that generally sets the tone of the town. And at the moment, the tone of the town is really dreadful. And I was reflecting with somebody the other day. Where I work at the moment, we were talking about county lines drug dealing. And I was prompted to say something that I said as mayor in this council in 2016. You don't get people selling double glazing in areas where there aren't any windows, and you don't get people selling drugs in places where people don't take those drugs. And it's not the people that are the unfortunate casualties of drug taking that are responsible for the county lines in this town. It's all of those people who recreationally take drugs and can afford it and have a great time and feel like they're great hip people doing this thing. They are actually supporting organised crime and dangerous people coming to this town. County lines, we know, is connected to people trafficking, all sorts of horrendous things. And if this town wants it to get it cleaned up, they have to clean up their act.
Yeah, well said, John. A point of order, please. We're running slightly over time. Can we suspend standing order 3X and extend our meeting by another 10 minutes? And I'd like a seconder and a proposal, and a vote, please.
I'm happy to second, Nick.
Okay, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, and unanimous. Thank you. Had you finished your unitary? Have you finished your unitary?
Yeah, I've finished for now because there is a written report coming out. But if anybody's got any questions, you can get me on.
Thank you.
You know, telephone, whatever you need to, anytime.
Thank you. So, Mayor's announcements. The only thing that comes to mind immediately is there's a World Heritage Open Day on the 24th. Yeah. And so there's a poster outside on the main notice board on the pavement, and it's 5 45-minute sessions that people can come and book slots to talk to the consultants on it. So all of the details are on there. Councillor Cousins?
Well, and it's not to just talk to the consultants, but it's for us to actually listen to our community. I think that is something that we've been accused of not doing, and this gives us a perfect opportunity to listen.
Okay, my understanding, one second, Will. My understanding is now there'll be tables down in the main hall, round tables, one with Paul Simons, one with Chris Pound, one with councillors, and one with working group members. Yeah. Councillor Manning?
I was just going to say that because, again, somebody put on Facebook, oh, there's only 5 tables, so they'll only see 20 people, 40 people or something. Yeah. There's a lot more. There's 4 tables, 5 sessions, so that's 20 sessions. Yeah. And probably 10 people on each table, so that's 200 people can actually engage, and that's not including the people who just come in to have a look at all the various presentations.
Okay, thank you. So if you're free, councillors, certainly do please attend. Okay, communications and announcements. Oh, sorry, Serena.
I was going to say I have something to raise that we got the police report before, but it hasn't actually come up in the session. Okay. And somebody approached me today. They are somebody who lives on the hill and who takes a tour bus. And they said that the driver of the tour bus is being regularly, seriously abused by car owners who want to park up at the back of the tour. the disabled sign has twice been torn down, and they're really, really concerned. And again, it's a police issue. We haven't got the police here.
Yeah.
We haven't even listened or looked at the police report. And I would like it noted that there are members of the public who are seriously concerned for the driver of the bus, who is receiving serious abuse from people who are parking up at the back of the door.
Thank you. Councillor Don Francesco?
Thank you, Worship. Just briefly, I did see a police report
Yeah,
and they have actually
one here.
got it there. Great, lovely.
May I just, Your Worship, on the topic of the tour bus? So I'm obviously in regular contact with Mendip Community Transport who run it. And so they are also in contact with Councillor Lation.
Okay.
So the responsibility for those signs and the road markings, which are the Unitary Council's enforcement company, can't enforce the parking regulations if the signs and the markings aren't there. So it's Somerset Council's responsibility to make sure the markings and the signs are there, and that when they are defaced or ripped down, that they are replaced. And I do obviously encourage Mendip Community Transport to log every incident of abuse with the police. And I said I will support them fully on behalf of the town council, as we have a contract with them, in any representations they make to Somerset Council to make sure that those parking restrictions are enforceable, and that they implore that their contractor who enforces those regulations is up there to enforce, because I'm sure Somerset Council via their enforcement company could make an absolute fortune putting tickets on cars up behind the door. So it's a topic that's I regularly try and deal with and assist with operationally. But again, unfortunately, it's one that over which, other than lobbying and ensuring that other agencies perform their statutory obligations, it's not one that necessarily we have a direct influence over. But I do support Mendip Community Transport in their representations to Somerset and the police, as we're a contractor with them, or they're a supplier to us.
Councillor Oakton?
I'm part of the Crime Prevention Committee, and one of the big problems that we've got, and I think it is a problem for the whole town, is the lack of police involvement. It's very difficult to criticise the police, but unfortunately we do seem to have a problem with policing in this town. And it is, we're looking at really complete disorganisation. And the police sometimes turn up at our meetings. They should be here tonight. Frankly, it's an insult when we ask people as a council, when we ask a public body to be here to represent themselves, it's an insult to us that they don't turn up or even send an email. It really is. And I feel really strongly about that. Street also having the same awful problems as we are. And I think it was on the Nub News recently that only 2% of the crimes that were committed were followed up by the police. And there were around 148. So I think I would like to propose that this council invite the crime commissioner, the police crime commissioner, to visit the town, and to certainly, maybe incognito has been suggested by Nick, to just walk around and see the problems that we have. Because I can assure you, if that lady comes here, the police will turn up, because it's their boss. I just think we have to really be strong on this, because we're getting a lot of flack as councillors, and to be honest, there's not a great deal that we can do apart from support, and we're not getting any support at the moment as far as I'm concerned. Now, you may disagree with me, but I actually see it in the high street. I actually saw a drug deal take place at the top of the high street a few months ago. Everything was given to the police, everything, details, registration number, addresses, and nothing has happened. That is not acceptable. And so I think I would like to propose that we as a council invite the police crime commissioner to come and talk to us.
Seconded.
All those in favour? And
so unfortunately, you can't
do
make that.
Because the thing's suspended.
However, the Town Centre Crime Reduction Advisory Committee, when it meets, can invite the Police and Crime Commissioner, because it's not undertaking any expenditure or committing the council to anything. But that advisory committee can meet, and as it was set up under the advice and inspiration from the then Inspector Matt Reed, I would suggest that actually this council, having done something at the suggestion of the police to try and reduce this problem, actually that is a very good forum through which to invite the Police and Crime Commissioner. So when you have your first meeting now with 8 councillors rather than 4, I would suggest that you extend that you work on a form of words and extend that invitation via that meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Don Francesco.
Sorry, can I please answer that one? We have continuously, and we've gone, yes, they're coming, and even when they turned over, so after Matt Reed, we've had nobody.
Okay.
And we have invited them every single time, and even on their changeover as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have, bless them, but we have a police officer from Bridgewater turn up.
Okay.
You haven't invited the Police and Crime Commissioner to visit the town, though. That's what I was suggesting the advisory committee do.
That's a great
Councillor Manning?
Well, I'm a bit confused because the last meeting we had Sergeant Lancy.
Yeah.
Meeting before that we had Inspector Rachel Clark.
Yeah.
We haven't had the Crime Commissioner, I accept, but we've had the police have always turned up.
Yeah.
In fact, if the police don't turn up, we cancel the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Cousins and then Councillor Henderson.
So I would urge your worship, as Mayor of Glastonbury, I had successfully summoned. I used that word in my letter to 2 police and crime commissioners. One, and a very effective and a very useful police and crime commissioner. The other also came. But I think that would be a really good way forward. I would speak on a different subject. There's no report from outside bodies, but on the 22nd of April, the Internal Drainage Board met, and I just want to report back because I think this has quite an impact on our entire area. The key message was, although there was a 5% increase in the precept, the Environment Agency and the Somerset Rivers Authority will only be able to maintain the work that they did this year. And the work that they did this year was a serious reduction on the maintenance of the main waterways and channels. So, and they are looking at demaining rivers, which means that they won't even get that attention. And the Internal Drainage Board has attempted to pick up some of the pieces of this, but is using, it's not funded to do this work, but that it is absolutely going to become critical when that work on those main rivers is not done, because obviously the flooding implications are huge.
Could we put that as an agenda item on the June full council?
We could.
Or could it go somewhere else?
I wonder whether we could ask the clerk to inquire whether Ian Sturdy, who's the clerk of the Drainage Boards, could come and speak to us about the issues that the Drainage Board's facing. It's not the Drainage Board's fault. They do all that work. It's what happens when that water goes out of the reens into the rivers. Secondly, the Drainage Board is looking for ethical banking and finding it quite a complex thing to achieve.
Very.
I note that the town clerk here has successfully, and the town clerk's office successfully got us ethical banking, and I wonder whether the clerk's office would like to send an inquiring email to Ian Sturdy, who is the clerk of the Drainage Boards Consortium, to offer our support in helping them achieve the ethical banking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoops. Sorry, it was, going back on to just what you said, John, about the Drainage Board, which I did forget to put in my thing. I've been out with the Drainage Board today to tour Rugby about some. They filled in a ditch basically, and it's affected some houses in Bailey Close and Merrick Road. So we are hoping to get a grip on that and find a solution. I've got another Drainage Board tomorrow. It's that subcommittee, if you remember. So I'll come back on that, but there are problems. And I've just been made aware this evening of another problem with the mill stream, and which I'm going to bring up with Matthew tomorrow and get them there, I think.
Is that what yours was going to be, Paul?
I was going to mention the very serious problem with the mill stream, which is horrendous. The mill stream is basically not flowing.
Wow.
The water isn't coming through. And in fact, this is very pertinent, this leaflet, talking about sewage, because the discharge from the sewage works goes into the mill stream.
Yeah.
But normally it's diluted, but there's nothing to dilute it.
Wow.
So that's going to go along. It's awful.
Okay. Councillor Henderson?
Thank you, Chair. Just to go back to what Margaret was saying, if you do read the police report, it does sound like they're doing quite a lot of work, but obviously we know that that's not enough.
Mhm.
We need to sort of say, well, thanks very much, but we need even more done, you know?
Yeah.
They need to turn up. I think the problem with most people in the town is the police don't seem to be there when you really need them. They might wander around, you know, they're doing patrols, etc., handing up a couple of orders on people. But on Saturday afternoon, it was, you know, on the verge of sort of like pitch battle out there, you know, drink plus sun on their heads and they soon fall out. But nobody is around, you know. It's the same when the base bus turns up and he just says, well, I'm staying here as long as I want. And, you know, anyway, that's when we need people here. Going back to the TCCR meetings, Inspector Rachel Clark, when she came on her inaugural meeting, she said that she was going to kind of take this on as a personal project. You know, she knew Glastonbury was a special case, going to sort of, you know, make it a priority. So I think, you know, we need to talk to her again, you know, at the next meeting, or if she's not at the next meeting, we need to try. Obviously, she's very busy. Get her to a future meeting because, you know, she sounded, you know, very honest, and it sounded like she meant to do business. So let's get her to follow up that with some action. But yeah, we need to sort of sort this out. And the longer it goes on, the longer it sort of becomes the norm, and it attracts more people and say, well, you know, they got away with it. You know, the cross stinks of weed all the time. You know, you've got to go out there and ask them to move on because it just stinks the shop out. Yeah. You know, it's just, but it just, after a while, you just kind of don't notice it anymore. And that's not right.
No, when I came out this afternoon, it was about 5:30, there were 4 police vans there, loads and loads of police, and they've been doing snap raids and stops up and down the high street for the last few hours. But you say, like, they're not here when you need them at 7 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night.
I know they're stretched. I mean, you know, we know they're not sat in the station smoking fags.
So it's certainly something we need to rattle. Correspondence?
I haven't had any to bring to the attention of council, Your Worship.
Thank you. News releases?
I've already noted that you would like a news release on the new committee.
Yes, please. And can you put the new mayor and deputy mayor in that as well, please?
And the market.
Market, Newtown Crier.
Celebrating.
Sorry, Newtown Crier.
We already done that.
Oh, did we?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the market?
Our charter back, you said.
The charter back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, kind of history of the charter. Okay, good point.
What about the flyer?
Yeah.
Comes out also as a media.
All right.
Yeah, so
will that be an action?
it will also be an action, but I'll ask the question I have on the action when we come to that point.
Okay.
But yes, I'll note that we can put that on the website for sure. Okay.
Actions arising from the... Oh, Paul.
I was going to say the World Heritage Status meeting as well, that's coming.
Yeah, on the 24th. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Cousins?
Your Worship, before we just move on, I won't do this really, but I just wanted to say that we had the Beltane weekend recently, as we all know, and I just think that this council should formally make a vote of thanks to not only our members of staff who played quite an important role within the undertaking and making it such a success on May the 1st, but also a vote of thanks to our community who come together and create, without any overall curation, a most amazing event. They seem to go extremely peacefully, touch wood, this year. Haven't heard any bad reports, and attract thousands of people to this town. I think we should just make a formal vote of thanks to all those folks.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. Actions arising from the meeting?
Thank you, Worship. So if I may, I shan't take them in order.
Yeah.
The question I have on the action of the leaflet and distribution. So obviously we can organise the Royal Mail, but if you'd like to send me and liaise with me, Serena, what we need to do then, or we'll catch up after the meeting.
Can we liaise on that? Because I've got St Andrew's Press who've given me the invoice. I'm happy to send them what Melissa has done.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Yep.
So if I send that to Melissa, and then I get them to deliver it to you for Royal Mail delivery?
If what you could do, if you could send the digital file to St Andrew's Press,
yes.
Ask them, so CC Melissa into that exchange, ask them to invoice the Town Council for the printing,
yes.
and we'll liaise separately with St Andrew's Press, because what we normally do is have it picked up from St Andrew's Press, sent to Swindon, and then it comes back here. That's the way you have to do it with Royal Mail. It's a bit ridiculous, but that's the way you have to do it. So if you could send them the file, CC Melissa, and then I'll pick up with Melissa all the other admin bits and pieces we need to do to...
You and Melissa.
Oh yeah, and then I need to book it with Royal Mail, but that's fine.
Okay, sorted.
In terms of other actions, Your Worship, I have been using my green pen this evening. I don't know why I starred that particularly. I starred that because you're going to work with Alderman Keary on a letter for
the Prime Minister.
Atrocities in Gaza to go to the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
You've adopted the standing orders without the new standing order 3H, so I'll update that document, and that will be the standing orders that we use, exactly the same as last council year. I'll work with a responsible finance officer to update the signatories, particularly for Unity Trust Bank, so expect contact from Michelle, and I don't know the process, but we'll probably have to submit your details, they'll send you a letter, etc., etc. We've established the Operations, Youth, and Services Committee, and I'll do a news release about that. We've also amended the terms of reference for Frost Fair, Property and Assets, 2030 Committee, Town Centre Crime Reduction, and we've established the membership for those, so we'll be in touch to organise where there aren't meetings in the meeting calendar, which I'll send a reminder out about. We'll arrange first meetings of those. I'll liaise with Councillor Ronnie Dougal about the leaflet, and Councillor Cousins, are the contact details for the clerk to the Drainage Board easy for me to find, or do you need to send those to me?
They should be, but I can also send you his email address, but it's Ian Sturdy is the name.
Ian Sturdy, yeah, I did note that, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I'll give that a Google, and if I
get him on a Google.
Excellent.
Search engines are available.
They're the actions that I've noted, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you.
As well as the news releases.
Yes, thank you.
A long list of news releases.
So I propose we reinstate Standing Order 3X.
You don't need to.
Okay, thank you. In that case,
date of next meeting.
Thank you. Date of next meeting, 10th of June, and I declare the meeting closed. And thank you. Thank you.